Hey, this is Justin
And this is Lucky.
from the Best Friends Podcast.
And you're listening to the BS Podcast Network. Oh, yeah.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Best Friends Podcast. I'm Justin.
And I'm Lucky.
And on today's show, we've got our full recap from our 2 days at New York Comic Con and our kind of weekend long adventure in New York City in general. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we stared
It
at...
was a week-long adventure, right? We kind of moonlighted as New Yorkers for a little bit.
we did. We went to some funny
We're
bars.
basically the Airbnb ad where it's like, don't just visit, live there.
Yeah.
Literally did.
Well, so we Airbnb'd in, which was I'd done one other time, and the other time that I did that was at San Diego Comic-Con. So it seems like every time I go to Comic-Con, I Airbnb.
I think it's a way of the future. I'm about to Airbnb again to Vegas this week, and I'm just
that's right.
this is all I'm going to do now. I'm barely going to stay in a hotel anymore.
Yeah, so we had fantastic accommodations. The place that we were staying in, we brought people who live in New York back to our place for a couple of pregame beverages. And they walked in and like, oh, this place is way bigger than mine. This place is great. So it was a nice little spot. It was right on the Hudson River, where Captain Sully landed the United Airlines flight or whatever it was.
Oh man, I wonder if that apartment got a good view of that.
Yeah,
That would've been
it
pretty
probably
cool.
would have.
Wow.
So it was right on the river there in New Jersey. We stayed in Weehawken, and just for the listeners out there, if you've never Airbnb'd and you're wondering like how it works and is it weird and what are the costs and stuff like that. So we stayed in Weehawken. We paid a $3 bus fare to get into the city. It was 1.8 miles to Times Square from where we stayed, and our Airbnb ended up being $150 a night for both Lucky and I. So we had separate bedrooms. We had 2 beds, bathroom, full kitchen. Obviously, it was a small apartment. And, night one, we go grocery shopping and pick up some breakfast foods because that's really all that we were in the apartment for was breakfast. And, for like $40, we've got breakfast for pretty much the week. And it was awesome. But
Yeah, I think the only comparable hotel thing you could get maybe a 1 or 2 bedroom suite, and that's probably going to be like
$1,000 a night.
Yeah.
In Manhattan, it'd be $1,000 a night.
Oh,
easily.
in Manhattan. Oh yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm. So I've stayed in New York before, a couple different times, and the hotel rooms are just microscopic in the city because space is an absolute premium, and they pack millions of people onto a tiny little island, and they just they're just tiny. So this was just a different experience. The only thing that was like kind of a bummer is that while we were 1.8 miles from the city and just a $3 bus ride over, took forever.
Oh yeah, it was depending on if it was like a prime day or prime hour. Like
That's true.
what was it? The one Friday it took us an hour to get in, but most of the time was it like a half hour or something to get in?
Yeah, it was.
to the city?
If there was no traffic, it was 15 minutes, so that was cool. But I mean, it's for us, for people that live in, I don't know, the Midwest or the Rust Belt, whatever you want to call our region.
Smaller cities.
Yeah, you live in a smaller city. You go anywhere, and it's like right down the road's 10 minutes.
Which we don't live in small cities. We live in small cities compared to New York City, though. Compared to New York City, they're
That's
very
true.
small cities, but like they're average-sized cities, though. So
Yeah, but I mean, like even so, like for example, Saturday before we left for Comic-Con, I kind of made some last-minute plans to go to a Kanye West concert, and I bought tickets at like 6 o'clock, and the concert started at like 8. And so I'm driving downtown. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, traffic's going to be horrific because of this concert. And, getting downtown is going to be busy and packed. And I drove directly to the arena parking garage and put my car in the garage. And I think I had green lights the entire way. There was like no issues at all. So it's just one of those things that's funny that
would not be possible in New York
never
City.
Ever. Like
you would get last minute tickets, but you have to take the subway all the way across the city and then like wait, I don't know how many lines for whatever.
Right, exactly. So it's just we live in a different world than they'll ever live in.
Oh, but their world's more convenient, though, according to our bartender.
According to the bartender, because I
pay for convenience.
we were talking to her, what's the big draw about living in this? I mean, obviously that it is New York and it's amazing and there's
different
so much
folks,
there,
different strokes, yeah.
But you pay. She was telling us her rent was like $4,000 a month for like a 1-bedroom place with her and her boyfriend. I'm just like, man, that's crazy. And she's like, yeah, but we live here for convenience. Yeah. It takes 20 minutes to go like 1 mile. So I don't know. It doesn't seem that convenient to me.
Well, they got a doorman, so she made it very specific. They have a doorman apartment. They don't have some scummy apartment without a doorman.
I don't have a doorman at my house, so I'm going to sell this piece of shit, obviously, because it's the worst. But it is funny that, like, I'm 25 miles from Cleveland, and it takes me about 30 minutes to get downtown. Whereas, like, in New York, you're 1.8 miles away from something, and that also takes 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just depressing, I guess, when we leave, and we can, like, look just across the river and see the city, but it took 20, 30 minutes to get over there. But
we should get jet skis next year. Take jet skis,
or even just a canoe.
Shore them.
A canoe.
Oh yeah. It wasn't. Yeah, we could row like not even a mile. That's all it was.
Yeah, you could row faster. Michael Phelps could swim there faster than our bus got us there.
Oh yeah.
But it was great though. I mean, I loved it. It's definitely like one of those spots that I'll save on my Airbnb list, and like if I'm ever traveling that way again, it's like I want to stay there and kind of. I told Lucky that, like, the running joke that we had, because it was like, what bus do we get on? Where does this bus drop us off from where they drop us off? What's the nearest subway and all these other things? And I was just telling Lucky, I'm like, by Sunday, which was the day that we left, I'm like, by Sunday we'll have this all figured out, and inevitably, it's kind of, we were like experts by Saturday, but it didn't matter because we were leaving 12 hours after that.
We were like helping people find the bus, get on the right subway.
Giving people directions. They're like, oh, you're a fellow New Yorker. You clearly know your way around. So the show itself, why don't you tell me what you thought?
The Javits Center?
Yeah, the Javits Center.
I thought it was really cool. Like, I don't know if I was expecting more, but I wasn't disappointed at any point. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like, because I mean, it's not like when you went to San Diego, you got to see a lot of movie previews, and you're showing the video like you meeting the celebrities and stuff. Like, we didn't meet any celebrities and run into any of them really, just because I don't know. It's because it's New York City, and maybe like a lot of the actors are out there, or we weren't out with them or anything. So maybe that aspect was disappointing, the celebrity sightseeing. But like, as far as a comic book nerd, it was fucking awesome. Like my favorite part was going, as a artist, it was nice to go meet the artists and talk to them and stuff. Maybe if we went to another panel or two, but I mean, to get to some of the panels we would have wanted to, we would have to cut out other stuff like going out at night, and we would have had to got in a lot earlier and stuff. So there's like trade-offs to see things you want to see. But I mean, I'm happy with all the stuff I got. I maybe wanted to see a few more artists and get stuff signed or buy some of their art. But I mean, I thought it was great overall. So
yeah. So I guess I'll just kind of like compare and contrast it with San Diego. So you said like, celebrity spotting and whatever. So
yeah, you made it sound really exciting. You're like, oh, look at Preacher's drinking with us and stuff. I'm like, damn, a Preacher?
That was purely happenstance, though. Like that
I
could
know.
have potentially.
That's not like everyone gets to meet Preacher and drink with a drunk Irish dude. That's awesome.
Exactly. So that was purely by happenstance and dumb luck that happened. So. Because we talked about, when we were in San Diego, we're like, well, let's go out another night and let's like maybe run into other people. And it didn't happen. We didn't see anybody out. So,
oh, really?
Oh,
okay.
sure. Yeah. Because that happened on, I think, like Friday. So then Saturday or whatever it was, we ended up going to downtown San Diego and we went to a couple different spots. And we were definitely like alert to look around the room and who do you see? And, I saw a guy wearing a Toronto Blue Jays hat, and I just assumed it was Stephen Amell, Green Arrow, but it wasn't at all him. But that's where you just
you Stephen Amell? No, I just like the Blue Jays.
like
I'm not even from
big Blue
Canada.
Jay, I'm a big Blue Jay fan, living in San Diego. So so that was purely by happenstance. But that was cool. But I mean, probably a 1% chance of you running into anybody, if not lower. In such a big city with so many different places to go. And admittedly, you and I went to a lot of kind of like hole-in-the-wall places that were not like featured hotspots, I guess. But they were fun.
We went
as
to
hell.
places like the characters in the comic books would like to drink at. Like, we drank at like where Daredevil...
We truly did.
Matt Murdock and his secretary go drink.
that bar that they go to in the show, I mean, the bar that we
were in
went
Hell's
to...
Kitchen.
Yeah,
I
the
thought
bar
it was much cooler one, Hell's Kitchen.
I swiped to a filter in Snapchat and it was Hell's Kitchen. So, we were basically there, like cut out of a comic book page or a Netflix frame. We were there. So, how does it compare to San Diego? I think the biggest thing that I guess I don't want to say surprised by, but I guess I didn't expect was that it was kind of like copy paste. The booths were exactly the same. Image DC, Marvel all had the exact same booth. And I don't know why I didn't assume that would be the case. I guess just like rookie naivete that I just would expect that they would do a different type of booth. And they didn't.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, why produce two different booths for a show that's 2 months after the other one?
Yeah, like they don't have... It's not like they have small budgets, but it's like...
Yeah,
if we only do two Comic-Cons a year, we only need like one booth, and then we can rotate it across the shows or whatever.
Right. So for me, just walking onto the show floor, for example, I was like, oh, it's the same. So that was, I guess, that lost some luster for me, but not in a bad way. It's just that I got to see it again. And I mean, technically, if you listen to the show, the trouble that I had in losing my third day pass at San Diego, so I only got to go for 2 days. So it's kind of like I got to go for 4 days now because we were at New York. But also in that, though, there were different vendors that were there in New York that weren't in San Diego, and different booths that we stopped by that I didn't get to experience in San Diego. So that was really cool.
Oh, what like specific ones? I'm actually
like, for example, we went to Aftershock and we talked to the guy that was running the Aftershock booth, and Animosity was a comic that wasn't out, during New York, or I'm sorry, during San Diego, but it was out now. So we got to meet, well, I shouldn't say we met anybody, but we talked to the guys at Aftershock Comics about that, and buy some books that were signed.
We both bought a bunch, yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. I didn't get to experience that. The guys from Cyanide and Happiness were there, and I think they may have been.
I
in San
actually
Diego
wish I bought
also.
something from them. That was really cool what you got. And
yeah,
they made you like a custom comic and shit.
Yeah, they did a little like one panel comic, and they had a wheel of things or like a box you could choose, and then they would sketch it. And I know it's so stupid. I guess in hindsight, I probably would have had them do something else. But it's the picture that they drew was hilarious because on the wheel they had you and Batman. And so I'm like, well, yeah, draw me with Batman. That's perfect. And so they drew this like giant Batman with a tiny little version of me in Batman's mouth, like climbing out of his teeth. And he was shirtless with a nipple hanging out, and his chest hair was in the shape of a bat. I'll probably put that up on Instagram here shortly, so you can check it out. But and Instagram is at TBFcast. But yeah, so that was cool. So there was a lot of things that like I guess we did differently, and I think we spent more. Like going to Artist Alley was really cool.
Yeah, did you spend this much time down there as in San Diego?
No. San Diego, the time
Is that
was
just because
spent...
who you're with, or like just because you had no plan, maybe, or
both? Because I didn't have a plan for San Diego. I just kind of went and tried to figure it out. I cruised through Artist Alley. I don't know that there was. It felt like Artist Alley had more reputable people at New York than in San Diego, and that could be. I could be way off. So if somebody's like, bullshit, San Diego was great, then call me out on it on Twitter or something like that. Because for me, walking through Artist Alley, like the coolest person that I saw that I didn't expect to see was Bruce Timm. But beyond him, like I felt like it was a lot of people I've never heard of before. And in New York, Sean Murphy and David Finch were definitely standouts, but Scott Snyder had a little thing set up, which I'm 99% sure he didn't have his own thing set up in San Diego. And, and it did help that you are into it. So like, whereas in San Diego, I'm with my wife and she does or does not really have a passion for this stuff, and going through Artist Alley and doing that was probably not high on her list, I'm guessing, right?
Well, yeah, I think it's a bit esoteric to know like the artists and writers' names. Like a normal person, it's like, oh, I know who Batman is, or I've seen the movie. You know what I mean? Like maybe I bought 1 or 2 comics when I was a kid, but like they don't know what artists or what era worked on what storylines and things like that. So
well, and I shared an experience with you where I was telling you about in San Diego there was an Alex Ross booth, and there was a guy that was working the booth that was wearing an Alex Ross t-shirt, and he was the only one wearing that shirt. Everybody else was dressed differently. So I was like, is that Alex Ross? I'm like, I don't know, but I would love to meet him.
Wearing his own t-shirt?
Yeah. And so I'm like, I would love to meet him. But then you Google Alex Ross comic book artist, because if you just Google Alex Ross, you're going to see a lot of people named Alex Ross. But if you Google Alex Ross comic book artist, like the most current picture I could find on Google while I was in San Diego, in a quick moment right there, it was like, I don't know, from 1995 or something. Like the point of the story is that like comic book writers and artists are not like easily recognizable because they look like anyone else in the world. They're not celebrities. Their photos are not inside of a comic book. So, I guess seeing these people and things like that in the real world, they're difficult to identify just like walking around. Like as soon as they leave their booth, you don't know who they are anymore. Yeah. So we saw the same Alex Ross booth in New York, and Alex Ross was also not at this one. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I guess my takeaway would be this, like if I could sum it up, is if you're going to go to San Diego, you probably don't need to go to New York or vice versa. Pick one. You probably could pick one. San Diego definitely had more TV and, movie stuff going on.
Just by location. All the studios are out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't cost them anything.
It's real easy to take a, 30-minute flight from LA down to San Diego if you're a celebrity, and go do a quick panel versus, flying across the country. Yeah.
Yeah, just like even like when you went there, I was like, there's a Harmontown show and Dan Harmon's there, and you could go catch a show. Like he lives in LA, so yeah, it's nothing. But like they didn't come all the way to New York City.
Right.
So.
And I think New York Comic Con is relatively new. So
it's definitely not as big. It's the second fiddle to San Diego.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard to say from an attendance standpoint.
Because I know just like comics start in New York City, but I just know that San Diego is the big one. That's all.
Yeah. So New York Comic Con started in 2006, whereas San Diego has been going on for like 40 years.
I guess the 70s or something.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think that New York Comic Con may very well someday grow into something like that, but it's.
Yeah, because they're also, I think it's just getting bigger. We started this podcast because it's pretty big with pop culture and everything. Everything's like kind of comic book based. But also, I mean, there's all these little cons sprouting up too, and like you're saying, like I almost went back to my no sleep deprivation. I was gonna say Wizard World in Cleveland seems to be pretty good size from what you're saying. So
Yeah.
I think more cities are trying to start them and stuff. So
Well, I mean, there's a demand for them. People love to be a part of the community and go to these shows and everything. And, it's fun to just parade around with a bunch of people that have the same interest as you for a few days. So, geek out over it. It's a good time.
it is fun. I guess the different levels of geeking out. Maybe some people more go see the cosplay and compete in the cosplay, or some people more go to see the celebrities and stuff at shows. But like for me, it's more to go see the creators and ask them about like their stuff and like thank them for creating them, or ask them about like their art techniques and stuff. So like that's
definitely
what I was geeking out over.
Sure,
But
no question.
did you want to go over all of my verbal foibles over the weekend? Like,
Sure.
sleep deprivation then. Yeah.
Yeah, Lucky basically didn't sleep at all the entire time. At one point,
I didn't sleep before.
At one point, he's like, "Hey, will you throw me a bottle of waddle?" I'm like, "Do you mean a bottle of water?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, no problem. I'll get you one of those."
I wish there's like a doctor listening. Like, I think he had a stroke. You should really need to get him checked out. Just kept... And like multiple times, I said, "Oh, let's get a Yelp over there."
Yeah, get a Yelp. I'm like, "You mean an Uber?" Oh yeah. All right, we got to get back to our Uber. I mean, our Airbnb. Oh
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, it's new to me. Okay, we don't have Uber in Buffalo. It's
You should get it. It's
still
great.
banned. I know. Yeah. You know what? I will get it. Yeah. Let me go.
Just go get it.
Let me go mess with the mayor and the union, the taxi unions.
It's like when Donald Trump keeps grilling Hillary, like, "Well, you were a senator. Why didn't you fix it?" It's all your fault because you were a senator and you didn't do
obviously
anything about it. Like,
Get Uber, you loser.
I don't know if he knows how democracy works. I don't know if he figures out how our government works, but that's neither here nor there.
No.
So you bought a lot of stuff and met a lot of artists.
I bought so much it hurt my back.
Dude, it hurt my back. Lucky's like, "Hey, would you?" Because you got like a herniated disc, right? You're all banged up, and so we're leaving, and he's like, "Hey, would you mind grabbing this bag? Give me a hand down to the car." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And dude, I went to pick it up, and I thought it was a practical joke. Like I thought you put dumbbells in there. Yeah, like it was so
kettlebell.
And you're like, "Yeah, that's the bag with all the books in it." I'm like, "Oh, it makes a lot of sense." So if you've ever like moved from apartment to apartment or property to property, whatever, and you put all your books in one box, you know exactly what I mean about how heavy freaking books can be.
It's just paper too. What the F, yo?
Yeah, I know.
But I had that didn't even have the Kim Jong-gi book in it. So I bought his sketchbook. It's like 500 pages, and he drew a surprise woman with a frog hand for me, which is actually really cool. Dude, that one just had comics in it. That's how much they weigh.
That's insane.
Yeah,
You brought too much stuff.
I did. I only got I would say a third of it signed. So
note to self for next year. Well, here's another cool thing about New York. Going to New York Comic Con is that we drove. And so driving there, like, you can kind of be more liberal with what you want to bring with you because you're driving,
it's just
shit in your
ship
car.
it home. Yeah, because we went to Midtown Comics, and some people had to ship stuff home they wanted to buy there.
Right.
Like the store people were like, "Oh, come on!" Like, but I guess it's normal for them because they have people coming in, staying in the city. Don't want to carry stuff around all day. So
yeah. So what was the like? I don't know, top. I would let you talk about all the things you bought, but we have a podcast, not like a encyclopedia to go through. So, what are like your top 3 or 5 favorite things that you got?
My top one was the whole meeting Andrew McLean, just because Headlopper has been my favorite comic book of the year. There's only 4 issues, but they're like supersized issues each. He released them quarterly, and then he also made this thing called Apocalypse Girl, but like his style's really unique and stuff. It's not for everyone, but for me, it's a good break from just the generic Marvel and DC drawings and stuff. And the stories are really cool. And he seemed like a cool dude. You see how all the patches and stuff? He looks like a cool guy.
Dude, he looked like he just got off of a stage from performing like a rock show. Like he was just he's a cool guy. And
then I bought a shirt. I really like that shirt. That's my new favorite shirt. It's a Headlopper shirt. I love black T-shirts, but it's just like a black T-shirt with art on it, so it's awesome.
And we gave both he and his like administrative assistant, whoever's with him, a card and said, you know, would you like to be on our podcast sometime? So hopefully they reach out to us and we may very well have him on the show. Yeah, because it makes sound
like it's a regular thing for them to be on podcasts.
Yeah, like, I try to do as many podcasts as I can and everything. So so we're fighting for that. We'll hopefully have Andrew McLean on a future episode of the Best Friends podcast.
And I think we could probably hopefully get Hannah Christensen. She illustrated a storyteller book, Jim Henson's Storyteller. But then the other people that we asked sound pretty busy. They sound just like working regular
folk.
Artists. Yeah. Sean Murphy, Paula Rivera. You're kind of like, we're really busy. I'm like, always. So I'm like, ooh, okay. Oh, yeah, even like, and then Sean Murphy, he didn't call us out. Like, he was just like checking us, I guess. He was like, how long has this podcast been going on? And, you know, because I bet like every asshole probably has the same idea as us. Just like, hey, we need someone to get on our podcast to get popular. Let's just go around asking. And so, sure. I mean, I think we're pretty good. We had it for a year. Maybe that doesn't sound long, but we've done like almost 30 episodes now.
Yeah, this will be 28, I think. So, yeah. We're not new. I mean, no, we're not new by listening to this show, you would assume it's our first show, but we're not new.
We're on a network, motherfuckers.
So, all right. So your top item or your top thing was eating Andrew McLean. Like, what else? Because
and then about him or anyone else?
No, just about, you know, what were your other like 2 or 3, 4,
and then like Sean Murphy has been like my favorite artist for like 4 years now, and like it was cool. I got this punk rock Jesus sign. It was probably the second book I bought from him. The first one I bought was Joe Barbarian. And he was like, oh, this is really good condition. You should get this graded. It's probably worth $100 now. I'm like, after he signed it, like, who has the magic to do? I wish I could sign it. Like, hey, it's worth $100 now. There you go, kid.
I thought it was awesome. So that kind of answered a lifelong question for me of like whether or not artists and creators, because I guess punk rock was Image. Is that right?
Vertigo. DC Vertigo.
Oh, yeah, okay. So he doesn't own that. DC Vertigo owns that. Because it's not user created stuff.
Well, I think maybe some of the Vertigo stuff might be different contracts.
That's true.
Like user created, because he actually wrote and drew that one. So
the point is that these artists don't make a ton of money for what they do. Some cases compared to like, it's kind of like how professional sports athletes do make millions of dollars, but the owners make billions of dollars, and there's a very big difference in that. So I guess I was always curious on how they feel about signing stuff and people grading it and then selling and then reselling it for a lot more money. And that right there kind of answered the question of like, or at least for Sean Murphy, of get it graded. It's more valuable that way. This book's in good condition. I thought it was kind of funny. But he was awesome.
Oh yeah. And
I agree. Really, I think he's one of the best artists out there.
Bane. Oh yeah. Like it was cool for me as an artist to see like what his process was. He just did like a quick pencil sketch, and then he went like from different pens and stuff, and you could see him like thinking about it, add like a little line here or there and whatnot. Little note about grading too. So I asked more. I went to the comic book. I went to Queen City Comics in Buffalo, New York today, and asked them about it because I was telling them the story. And like, so what's that one company? Is it CBR or something? Or
CGC.
CGC. So I was like, yeah. So he said I should have got it graded. Like, did I miss my chance to get? Is it worthless now because I didn't get it graded? And Emil Jr. was like, yeah. So the way CGC works is they have to witness it, and you saw each booth they had like a guy standing there,
right?
Like the representative, and so I guess they're the signature witnesses. So I guess if they don't see it, and I could be wrong, I have to research this more, then CGC won't grade it with the name or something. But then there's another What's that for the signature?
So there's
or you know more about this too?
Perhaps.
Because then let me finish real quick.
Okay.
Real quick. So then he said there's another company that they have like a scanner that scans the signatures and verifies it, but it's not CGC. Though.
Well,
So what do you got?
okay, so CGC does two things. They'll grade just the book,
Okay.
but it won't be certified as autographed. So
Oh.
CGC has just straight up CGC, and then they have what they call CGC Signature Series. And the Signature Series is like if you were at a convention and they watch somebody autograph something, and then they are the witness, and then you go get it graded, you give it over to them, and then they're going to not only grade the book itself, but also certify that the signature was real. So you could still just throw that book to CGC and they'll grade just the book. They won't say anything about the signature, I don't believe. Now,
Okay.
I could be wrong about that because it has been signed. They could say, well, we're not going to grade it because it wasn't.
Or it's like, some kid wrote in your book, so it's not as high as a
Right,
grade
right.
as it should get.
So I am seeing, though, on eBay, there's only one, but there's a Punk Rock Jesus that's a 9.6 with no signature. It's listed at $80, but there's no bids on it. So it could
Oh,
be.
well,
Yeah.
fuck that book, because mine's probably that same grade and signed.
Yeah. But, hey, if Sean Murphy says it's worth $100, it's worth $100. Like, the guy wrote and drew it.
Sean Murphy's the one selling that one on eBay.
Right. He buys it from you.
Yeah.
He's like, I lost my copies. Hurry up and sell yours on eBay.
The other thing you're saying, how does it so they take a percentage or so, or costs? What's the cost? Because you were telling me.
So based on what I saw while we were there, I think if you just get something graded and it's valued, if they say that it's valued at $200 or less, it's like $28. Was what I thought as long as I comprehended their price sheet correctly.
Okay.
So it's interesting that, because we were talking about this, value of a comic book or any tradable collectible item is only truly as valuable as what somebody else is willing to pay for it.
It's on you to find someone to buy it. Unless it's like Batman #1 or Action Comics #1.
Right.
Because that becomes like gold because it's such a rare item.
Museums would buy that.
5 of those. Yeah. But like
put that in the Smithsonian.
This book has more valuable to me than it would if to sell it, and I don't think I'll ever sell it. So even like getting it graded, let me get this sealed up so I can never regard the inside of it ever again, and just like I don't know, I don't like it. I like this idea of having it, so that's kind of why I didn't really feel like getting it.
This kind of puts us on a tangent, but I have a couple thoughts on it that I want to throw out there.
Throw away.
The value of comic books or any collectible is interesting because I don't ever intend to sell any of my collectible items. Like, I never buy it with the intent to do that.
Yeah.
But I am extremely...
You don't buy with the intent to sell? To distribute?
No, I don't buy it thinking, I'm going to sell this someday soon and turn a profit. I just buy it because I like it. But yet, I do keep everything in as pristine condition as possible. Like, I have several Batman statues that I kind of have in like this little case in my basement. And I have all of the boxes and styrofoam and like plastic wrapping that it came in, that if it push ever came to shove, I could repackage that thing, in its original packaging, and it's all like mint condition. Likewise, and I know you're this way, and so many other comic book readers are as well, that we bag and board our comic books. And why do you do that if not to preserve the quality of the book that I guess if it were ever to become very sought after or valuable, it would be in great condition. So it's funny because I agree with you. Like, I would never sell any of my stuff, but at the same time, I want it to be in good condition that in the event I did ever sell it, I would get a decent return.
I get what you're saying. I think maybe I just do it to do it. Because that's the right thing to do or something. But like, I don't see a point in my life where I'm going to need to sell my books or anything. Or
but I mean, then stop bag and boarding them then.
Well, no, but
I called your bluff.
Disintegrate. Okay. No, but then they won't be in as good condition later when I want to look at them, though.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's just like my thought about it is that we probably bag and board our stuff to keep it nice. And
Yeah.
then,
Well, I think I was talking. Yeah, I was talking to you. I was like, "There's probably some books I don't need to bag and board. Like probably 75% of the Rebirth books I bought, I don't need to bag and board. Like, I could probably throw them all in the same bag, like 4 of them without a board or something.
Right.
Just because the only ones that'll be of value will be number ones. Because like, let me guess, I'm gonna guess that any of the single issues of the entire countdown or 52 weeks that I own are worth less than the cover price. So I mean, like,
oh yeah, no,
it's even
no
worth
question.
it's even worth less to spend the 15 and 20 cents for the bag and board on it then too.
Well, you go to a comic book store and a book that
Oh,
came out
75-cent bin.
Yeah,
dollar bin.
back issues
Yeah.
are 75 cents, and you're like, oh well, whatever. They're like first prints, first prints 75 cents. It was $4 a month ago, but we can't sell it, so now it's
Yeah. So
No,
just like we were
75
saying with
cents.
the supply and demand collecting stuff and trying to find a seller, the onus is on you to find someone willing to pay the price you want for it.
right, exactly. So
Well,
what
that-
else?
Yeah. I guess. So should we talk about some of the panels we went to?
Well, no, that's only 2 things. I told
Oh.
you to give me like 3. Like surely Kim Jong-gi, right?
Oh yeah. Just because he's probably like a level of art I could never get to. I don't know if you ever seen his videos, but like he just starts straight into something with ink. He doesn't pencil anything. Maybe he did back in the day, or maybe he's done stuff, but like he does like perfect, beautiful comic book, slightly anime style stuff, or like perfect perspective, perfect composition. Just go straight in with these ink brush pens, and like it's kind of it's like meditative and like soothing to watch him work. Like he's just like creating out of nothing, like, and he looks so serene and peaceful doing it. It's just like you just watch in awe,
And
like one of the great masters making stuff.
It's funny though that you say that he's in like a meditative state because he kind of was, right? Like,
Oh yeah, he just has these handlers doing all the business and stuff, and like he's just drawing the whole time. I don't think he even said hi, and like I think everyone else felt the same as me that it'd be rude to interrupt him.
Yeah.
Like he's just working.
Yeah. Well, yeah, everybody else, and not to, this is not a disparaging comment, even though it may sound as such, but everybody else was very personable and took pictures and signed stuff. And like Sean Murphy did a sketch, and the whole time that he's
I
sketching,
got to pick it, whatever I wanted. Yeah.
yeah, you get to choose what you wanted him to draw, and he drew it. And while he's drawing it, you're asking him questions about putting it together and why would you do this? And just, what did you ask him about the thumbprint or something?
Oh, because in Tokyo Ghost, you could see his thumbprint in the inks, and like even in the comic book shop where like the owner was like, check this out. It's like, you can see a thumbprint here on the artist edition. He's just putting his thumb in here. And I'm like, that's really cool. Because I didn't notice it. You don't really notice it until it's blown up, and then you see it. But I was like, why do you do the thumbprint? Is that just a cool thing? And he was like, actually, I'm not the first one to do it. These other artists did it, whatever. And he's like, I've been doing it since this book, and so whatever. But
Yeah, but conversely, there was no interaction with Kim Jong-gi.
No.
So-
there was, I probably would have gotten my money handed back to me and politely asked to leave.
reminiscent of something else in the world, right?
It was exactly like the Soup Nazi episode. But like way more enjoyable. Like I wasn't like get screwed out of bread or anything. But like, but then like, so I bought like his sketchbook from 2013, and it's like a red book. And then like we're seeing him draw in other red books, and then we're seeing people post pictures online. And like the one he was working on when we were watching was like this really detailed like pig in samurai armor. And I was like, oh man, I hope that one's mine. Maybe it's mine. He's cooking up there. And then like it wasn't. And like so like it was disappointing but not at the same time, because like I was just happy with whatever he made, and what he made was beautiful. But it was like, man, he really spent a lot of time on that pig. I think he just sped through mine.
Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, though, you have a unique sketch that's one of one from like one of the most incredible artists in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really cool. But you're right.
Yeah.
Like the pig was awesome. I was secretly rooting for it to be yours also.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they put the way that it worked was you would buy it, they would write your name on a Post-it note and put the Post-it note on the book and put the book in a queue. And then he would go through drawing, whatever came to his mind at the time. And like Lucky said, he was drawing in a red book. I'm like, I hope that's Lucky's. And they put like the Tim Post-it note back on there. I was like, oh, never mind. It's not. That's too bad.
And then, because we first went there, she's like, just come back in 2 hours. And then we came back in 2 hours. She's like, you're 4 away. I'm like, what? You're the 4th book. I'm like, how did that happen? Like, we had to go away for another half an hour. So, yeah.
The master's
and then,
at work,
it's
man.
really
Don't
cool.
rush
So
him.
they put the book, and, it's in its own custom book packaging with his logo printed on it. So, and I opened it and ruined some of it. So I'm sure I ruined the value of that too from a collector's point of view. And then inside that you get a custom poly bag with his logo on it again. And then you get a poster. And then, so the packaging is in custom Kim Jong-gi tape. This is so baller. I've never
It
known
is awesome.
their own tape printed. He has clear tape printed with his art on it. And then, so they must know that if you rip the strip off, it ruins that tape. So they give you 2 extra strips of Kim Jong-gi tape in there just for, I don't know what I would ever use it for, besides just admiring it. But it's a kind of a nice touch.
You get to regard the tape.
I know.
That's nice. So,
And then, so it was the great chase to find Frank Cho, and to this day, I don't know if he actually showed up after we left, but he was not there Thursday, and he wasn't there Friday, and Friday he just, we weren't the only ones complaining about it. The guys working at the Comic-Con were like, man, he just keeps telling his guy, he's 5 minutes out, half hour out, 10 minutes out, I haven't seen him. That was 3 hours ago.
we spent significant time in Artist Alley and never saw him over 2 days. So, I'm
beef with you, Frank.
Yeah, I'm almost is he even at Comic-Con? Maybe he's just not even there.
No.
He's on the beach drinking out of a coconut with an umbrella in it.
Just
I'll be there
drawing-
soon.
Just drawing incredibly well-endowed women in provocative poses. Just you may have made a totally awesome Hulk, Frank, but you weren't totally awesome at Comic-Con.
At least not for us.
Not for us, anyway.
Somebody else did get to meet him, and they think that it's the best thing in the world. So.
I know. You know what's great? So there was in front of the line of us, because you know how he draws those women in the Spider-Woman pose,
Yeah.
The internet outrage and stuff. There was a, I don't know, a 15-year-old girl in front of us, and she had all his books, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. She's just a chick that likes his books, even though other chicks are offended by his stuff. I'm like, that's pretty badass. Whatever. That shows you how much stuff is just bullshit. Nobody cares.
Right.
Which is, I think that's why he's doing it. He's just this is the dumbest thing. You're mad at me for drawing this? Go rethink your priorities, bro. But, keep the good fight, Frank. But you should have been there for us, man.
So
Anyway.
we went to 3 panels. We went and we saw Kevin Smith and the Comic Book Men. We went to the Archer season 8 panel, and we went to the Bat Family, which was pretty much everybody who's involved in Batman or any of the Batman books. So,
But by the way, is this what news feels like? Because I saw that some websites broke the news and they just reported on the panels we went to. But for me, I don't know how you felt. I just felt oh, that's nice. That's nice to know. I was oh, that's nice to know that Archer's
there was no
going
news or late breaking information from anything, really. I mean,
But they reported it as such, though. And so I'm is that just all news?
they're lying.
They just make a bigger deal
Well, so
out of
there was
because there's 3,000 people sitting there seeing it.
out of Comic-Con, we didn't go to the Walking Dead panel because that was on Saturday and we weren't there.
Yeah,
And-
even there, they didn't reveal who Negan killed or anything.
right.
Not
Right. You got to see
get-
a 1-minute scene from that's going to be in the show that Rick is upset that somebody died, but we already knew that somebody was going to die. And we
Spoiler
already
alert.
knew that Rick would be upset. So
That's each season of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Someone dies, Rick's upset.
Yeah, so we got to see more of that. You got to see Rick being sad and angry at the same time. I will say though that little clip made me be like, because I fell off watching Walking Dead. I felt like it moved at a snail's pace, so a zombie's pace. So I kind of fell off, but I'm really eager to find out who dies because Robert Kirkman did say that we couldn't have it be just somebody that nobody would really care too much about. So it definitely, he said, I'm not going to spoil it, but it is definitely a character of consequence. And so with that, I'm like, fuck, I got to find out who that is.
I was reading some articles and interpreting them funny because it was the article with the actor that plays Rick and like asking him about this being his last time on The Walking Dead. I was like, did the show start? Was Rick the one they killed? Like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
So like, I have no idea, but
well, it's not him because somebody's dead. And did you watch the scene, the clip?
No.
So Rick
lives.
Yeah, because they show the dead they show Rick like in horror disbelief on his face and stuff, and he says, "Not today, not tomorrow, but someday I'm gonna kill you." And Negan gets an axe and pulls Rick into a camper, and the camera pans down and you see like smashed in brains of whoever he did kill. So it's not Rick, but could it be Daryl? Could it be Glenn? I think Daryl and Glenn would be...
I don't want it to be Glenn.
I think
he's the only cool Asian guy on TV, and he hooks up with the hot white chick. He's all we have.
Well...
taking so much away from us. Give us Glenn.
That's my guess, is that it's got to be like an original long-termer. I guess it could be Maggie.
Oh, not Maggie. Then Glenn has...
I don't know. I mean,
she's pregnant and stuff.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh.
Who knows? But... yeah, so we didn't see that, and then like I guess the other like really big thing was Marvel showed the Iron Fist trailer, and
which we watched after.
we watched as soon as they did in there. Basically, the moral of the story of like all these Comic Cons is like don't go to Comic Con, just watch the stuff online.
Yeah,
save yourself a lot of line.
Because. Make sure you see all your stuff, but if you go to these panels, you'll be waiting in line to go see them and stuff. You can probably wait in line an hour or half hour before it, and then to get to go see it, and like however long it is, you're missing everything else. So,
right.
I don't know. I don't know if it's for people that just want the scoop, or I mean, if you're really interested, it's kind of cool to go see the people talk. But I mean, for the ones we went to, so Archer, they're all funny people, and then also the comic book men. It's Kevin Smith. He's a great entertainer. I just like love Kevin Smith too. So it's cool, but he's also the one that created it. I guess this goes back to our thing. I like the creators more than the actors and actresses. But like, because what are they going to say? They're going to talk about their interpretation of the character and what they read and stuff. But I mean, you go see the writers and artists. It's kind of cool. And then like with Archer, I mean, I guess they're just actors too, but they're all funny and comedians.
H. Benjamin was hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Aisha Tyler's a stand-up comedian. You got the I forget her name. She's an Emmy award-winning actress from that really critically acclaimed show.
She plays Mallory, the mother.
Mallory.
But I don't know. I don't know the actress's name either.
The Blue Man, they blew themselves. What's that show? Arrested Development.
Yeah.
There was a Lucky on stage. Another Lucky Yates.
Yep.
It's like. It's me, Lucky Yates, and Lucky Whitehead on the Dallas Cowboys were like the most famous Luckies, and I'm by far the least famous by a wide.
But you're out there with them.
I'm out there
fighting
cooking
a
and jet, man. I just want to go meet one of them and be like, "Do you feel my pain, man?" Every time your name is Lucky, and they look at you like you're an idiot. Are you? Oh man, I get that at work. Fucking everything. It's just like, oh, you must be lucky for some reason.
So
hey, they call you lucky.
I guess to talk about that for a minute, we were just kind of wandering through one of these like little side areas that we hadn't been to yet, and there was like some energy drink company that makes like healthy energy drinks, like no sugar and stuff like that. and they were doing a magic show, and
I think I might have actually seen them at the Olympia weekend too.
Probably.
But, now they're marketing this energy. It's the drink of gamers and comic book readers everywhere.
It was good though. I'm like, I might buy that. But so they did this. They had this magician that was doing card tricks and stuff, and he used me as like the person out of the crowd or whatever. But then, of course, so he's like shuffling cards. He's like, you need an advisor. Who do you want to be your advisor? I'm like, my buddy Lucky here, and he's like, all right, sir, what's your name? And it's all about me trying to win this card game, and you're like, oh, I'm Lucky, and he's like, yeah, we'll see about that. Like,
yeah,
and I was like, I feel bad for Lucky.
I'm not trying to make a joke here, bro. I'm just telling you my name.
That's actually my name, right?
By the way, Magic confuses me because every time I watch it, like I've seen it, like usually I'm looking for the sleight of hand, or like is he distracting everyone? So I look here and here. His game had no holes in it.
Dude,
he must have had Satan himself there.
I've never had magic done to me. Like I've never been the person receiving the magic. So I always am skeptical, and like that person was planted there to pull this card or pull that card, and my mind was exploding the entire time pretty much. Because, so this is the way it worked, and I'll give you like a 30-second rundown. He had me initially sign a card. So I signed a card, put my name on it, and he kept making that card reappear. He would shuffle the deck and let me pick any card in the deck. And I was telling you, like, I was picking any fucking random card that came, like, this one, and I'd pick one from the middle, and it would be my card. And then I'm like, well, I'll pick one on the end, because maybe he would put it in the middle again, and it was that card every freaking time, and it was unbelievable. And then at the very end, he had this girl hold this box. The box was locked, and he had made my card disappear, reappear. It was in the card box. It was in the deck somewhere. And then at the very end, he's like, okay, miss, are you done holding that box? And she's standing right next to me the entire time. She was not somebody she was like in cosplay and stuff. There was nobody that, she wasn't a plant. And she comes over and he opens the box, takes the lock off the box. Inside the box, there's a little silver disc thing. And I press a button and it opens the box. And inside that is my folded up card. I was just like, how the fuck did that happen? It was incredible.
It would be the ultimate if he did that. But then, so you go home, you're in Cleveland, you're taking a shower, the mirror, you get out of the shower, dry off, mirror's all steamy, you wipe the shower, to just look at your face, whatever. You see the card hanging on the wall behind you with your name on it. You're like, that's the best magic trick ever.
He got me 3 days later.
I'm totally not afraid at all now about supernatural stuff. No, it's just a good magic trick.
It's dark magic.
He texts you, and he's like, how'd you like that? You're like, how did you get my number? And he goes, magic.
The entire time.
There's a magic emoji for it. Magic.
It's just like Stardust.
Yeah.
The whole time that he was... So when he first made my card reappear like 6 different times, and then it was in the original card box and all that stuff, I said to myself, I'm like, pay really close attention to your pants, because it's going to end up in your pocket at some point. Like, don't let him touch your pants. That was funny. So yeah, the panels that we went to were more about like creators and they were entertaining because they were funny. So, they were good stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then on Saturday, which was our last day, we went to Midtown and to Forbidden Planet, which are 2 comic book stores in Manhattan, both very well known. Which one was your favorite?
I think I actually like Forbidden Planet better.
I think so too.
It was
I was thinking the same
thing. Just a nicer setup, easier to navigate. Midtown was just very claustrophobic. You had to go up the whole flight of stairs. Not that I'm claustrophobic, but like, I don't know if it was just that time of day, but it was like really packed. So like, you couldn't just stand there and enjoy yourself. You were just like getting out of the way the whole time. And then it was weird to cash out. Like when I wanted to cash out, there's no line. Then when I wanted to buy my stuff, there was a huge line, and I wasn't in it. They're like,
yeah, you and I.
Excuse me, everyone. The line's over here. I was like, oh, okay.
You and I decided we had a couple of items in our hand, and we basically decided 15 seconds apart to go buy our stuff, and I was the second person in line and you were the 30th person in line.
Yeah.
So within that 30 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever, all these people also decided it was time to go. Yeah. And
I guess I wasn't so lucky that time.
Nice. Way to bring it back. Yeah. I agree. Midtown is great because it's big and it's well known, and they always get like artists to do Midtown exclusive covers and things like that. So it's very cool for those purposes.
Someone's telling me they have a claim that they have one of every graphic or of every trade that you can buy there. And I don't know if it's true or not. But it looked big enough that it could be.
The great thing is, and this is not a plug for them, but it is that you can go buy anything you want from Midtown online, and they ship it to you. So they sell a ton of stuff. So they have cool stuff, but it's a small place, and it's right in Midtown by Times Square. And because it's Comic-Con weekend, that was the busiest we'd ever. Like, I think that's the busiest I've ever seen.
Yeah, because I like to go
before, and it wasn't like that.
I like to go to a comic book store, like a bookstore. Like, just go there and find something new. Just go, like, look around and stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, like, it was just hectic for that. So
yeah, it was. It's tough to go there on Comic-Con weekend and not be crazy busy. But
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, okay, I thought I cut out. Forbidden Planet, I didn't even know about it. You said you looked up a list that was
I didn't know about it either, though.
To do in New York City if you didn't get tickets to Comic-Con. I really like the store. They have their logo is drawn by Brian Boland. He's one of my favorites, and I got a shirt with it on it, so that's pretty cool. But there's like a really nice store, really high ceilings and stuff. It just feels nice. They had like a shitload of collectibles and toys, all the comics, trades. They even had indie stuff and zines and stuff. It was just like a nice store.
Yeah, and one of the things I liked about it was they had like music playing, and I felt like this sounds so stupid, but I just like the energy of the room. Like it was. You
said it was a lot like the Meltdown too. You said the vibe was the
same vibe, like just an old big open comic book store. Meltdown also just had music playing the whole time, and everybody there, similar products, similar kind of stuff. It was real cool, and yeah, I just thought it was that would have been my preference. Like, if I live in Manhattan, which comic book store would I go to? It'd probably be, I almost said Meltdown, but Lost Planet. Or Forbidden Planet. I still can't figure it out. What the hell's what's the name of that place? I don't even know.
You think, like, if you're like, yeah, could you save these for me? There's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, do they not even do a pull list or not?
Well, Midtown, I will say this, though. Midtown has 2 other locations in Manhattan. They have 3 total. So the ones that aren't right in Times Square are much less busy. And bigger too. So.
Oh, okay. So we're at the tip of the iceberg for Midtown.
Yeah, I think if you go visit Midtown and because you want to see Midtown, it's one of the biggest, most well-known comic book stores, certainly in the U.S., probably the world.
Now
you can go check it out for its novelty stake, but yeah, go to the other ones if you actually want to buy stuff.
Isn't it erroneous if they're also named Midtown, but they're not in Midtown?
Yeah, probably, but. I mean, we call our show the Best Friends Podcast, and we've got stuff on YouTube. So, is it still a podcast if it's on YouTube? I don't know.
It's a Ucast.
It's a paradox. So that was kind of our weekend, and we went to a couple of like I said, hole in the wall bars. One of which that we went to was a Will Ferrell themed bar.
I didn't really like it. I just enjoy the theme more than the actual bar,
It was just one of those things where, like, why does this exist? Why is this a real thing? But then while you're in there, you're like, this is kind of cool. Like, I kind of liked it. Yeah. So when we walk in, Anchorman is on the TV by the bar, and I was like, oh, of course they're playing Anchorman. It's a Will Ferrell movie. And then as you walk down the hallway to the bathroom, I see 3, 4, 5 other TVs, whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, Anchorman's on all these too, but it wasn't. It was, Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, and basically every TV was a different Will Ferrell movie.
deep cuts, they had Night at the Roxbury on.
Yeah, no, the Roxbury was on there. So it was so funny that they had a different movie on each TV, and they had like script pages that were framed and signed and all that stuff. What was your hypothesis about it all?
That it was actually Will Ferrell's creation of his own theme store. He either knows nothing about it or it was all his own machinations. Like he's just pulling some kind of. He's trying to be like the new Bill Murray, just doing weird shit.
Yeah, and as soon as you said that, I'm like, maybe that is what it is. Maybe Will Ferrell,
That's baller. I'm gonna have a bar just themed of me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell anybody that it's mine. Yeah. But
and every the first of every month, I'll show up in disguise and see if anyone notices if I'm there. Will Ferrell might have been there. He's a great.
Fun. And then just by our bus stop, there was a 99-cent per slice pizza shop, or $8 for a large. So we ate a lot of pizza.
Which I don't know, nothing made me sick or anything. But
I know,
I don't know if we could afford to sell that because we don't even have 99-cent pizza in Western New York.
Yeah,
much less. It would be the same thing. It'd be like New York style, but they would charge more for it, not less. So I don't know how that.
It was a big pizza.
Yeah,
it was, I don't know, an 18-inch pizza.
Because we had 99-cent New York slices in the town I grew up in when I was growing up, but it went up in price.
That was 32 years ago.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it made sense that it was 99 cents back then.
So I have no idea how they can have a location in New York City and charge 99 cents for pizza.
But they do it. And then the bar that we went to, I got to give a shout out to Dave's Tavern. Dave's Tavern was fun.
Shout out to Justina and is it Sylvia?
Serena.
No. Serena.
Yeah.
Serena, what show is Serena
on? Hold on.
Because you're the one that knew this show.
Yeah, it's oh god, I want to say 7 different titles that are all wrong.
Oh, just name them all.
I was gonna say "Don't Stop the Beat" or "Don't Stop the Funk," and it's not that at all. So hold on.
Does you sound like a good '80s movie?
I know, but it's kind of like that. It's something like that, though. Damn it! Oh my god, I'm never gonna remember it now. I don't know why. My brain's broken. I'm like you right now.
I think we're both just fried from the weekend, man.
Dude, I slept really, really hard. I
think it's just easier to sleep in your own bed, too.
Yeah.
You're just like,
I have to go to Netflix, I think. All right, talk about something else while I figure this out, because it's going to drive me nuts.
All right. So, one thing from the panel, we went to the Batman.
I got it.
Okay.
The Get Down.
The Get Down.
See, Don't Stop the Funk or
Get
something.
On. Get on down.
Pretty close.
Get on.
Yeah, so she's in that, and she was in, I think, the Nick Jonas Chains music video, too. She was cool. But it's just funny, I guess, that, it's kind of like New York, where somebody that's on their way up and doing some little things here and there is also, your bartender. It
was like we're in a musical. That's like a scene from Rent. Just someday I'm going to be the head dancer, and I'm going to...
Right.
I'm going to not be behind this bar.
And the cool thing about it, too, drinks were super affordable. Shots, I mean, I don't think I spent more than $50, $60 a night there. And
until Saturday.
Yeah, I know. Prices changed, I think, or something. But they also had a touch tune, so you could go play your own jams and stuff. So it was like any small bar you've ever been to in Cleveland or Buffalo or anywhere else.
Anywhere.
But it was
small town.
It was right around the corner from Times Square in Hell's Kitchen.
So the little grimy bar with the same cheap prices you pay wherever you go.
Yeah, so was the Will Ferrell theme bar, and then
wasn't the Will Ferrell theme a little more expensive? I don't remember. I didn't buy drinks.
I didn't buy them either, actually.
Oh, so they're free. So go to the Will Ferrell bar and have free drinks.
I think they're only free. What was Rich's buddy's name?
Taylor.
If Taylor's there, tell Taylor Lucky and Justin, and drinks are on Taylor. He'll love that. And then Friday night we went out, just to recap this, like our little bar restaurant adventures. We went to El Cortez, I think it was called, in Brooklyn, and we had some pretty good chimichangas.
Not a Deadpool.
We had to have the chimichangas, and it was a great choice. It was so good. And you and Derek were drinking those frozen mojitos like a bunch of girls. It was funny.
Yeah. Hey man, just some gals having a night out in town. Hey, when in Brooklyn, do as the Brooklynians, man.
Do as the Brooklynians. Yeah, exactly.
You gotta up your hipster game, bro.
I know. Don't be so suburban.
Yeah. Oh yeah, don't be so suburban.
That was kind of the theme of our weekend too. I can't tell you the amount of male cosplaying as female characters.
Oh,
yeah. Like,
I don't even know. I was just like surprised by it. I was like, oh, okay.
Like we saw a male Power Girl.
Yeah. But didn't try to have a blonde wig or anything.
Yeah, he was just a dude with hairy chest.
Yeah.
Like, what's just Power Girl's most known feature?
I don't even know if he was like of any, like, because I couldn't tell if we both couldn't tell if it was ironic or not. Like, or if he was just like, yeah, I'm Power Girl, what's up? You know what I mean? Or if he was like, I can choose to be any character I want, and I choose Power Girl.
Right.
Like, I have no idea what angle that guy was coming at. Or that gal.
Any of them, for that matter.
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't even the first one we saw. The first one we saw was when we were in line on Thursday walking to Comic-Con. Out of a car, Mom opens the door, and out pops little Jimmy dressed as 11 in the wig from Stranger Things.
Yeah, with the dress and the blonde wig.
Yeah. Justin turned to me and goes, I haven't seen Stranger Things. I was trying to make a dumb joke out of that, but
no, it was
didn't
good.
Work.
It was a dumb joke, so you did well.
Yeah.
You executed it flawlessly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I owned it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first one, and we were like, "Oh boy, well, it can only get."
And from there on out, it just kept going. I mean, that makes sense to me because it's like a kid, and 11 had her head shaved, and the theme of that was they all kind of thought she was a boy half of the show anyway. So that's why they kind of dressed her up like a girl. So kind of makes sense, I guess.
There was one that was impressive. Remember that storm? And I was like, I think that is actually RuPaul. It was just like,
I think it was RuPaul too. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to look that up. Was RuPaul at Comic-Con? Because
it was just an awesome storm.
Yeah, because if it was...
The only thing I could make it better, he or she should address as I think the coolest storm is when she shaves her head and she has the mohawk and she's like wearing like punk rock leather stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's from like the 80s storm.
I don't think so.
You don't know what I'm talking about? It's very iconic.
Throw it back again?
Very iconic.
I was Googling the RuPaul stuff.
I hope Steph walks in on you. What are you doing?
Nothing. Just talking to Lecky about all my fetishes.
Did you know RuPaul's the original transgender and like he or she doesn't care like what pronouns you use and stuff.
Yeah.
Because she's old school. OG.
OGTG. See what I did there?
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm just going to say she because that's what now we say.
Mm-hmm.
So she was at Comic-Con, but she has been Storm before, and it's pretty convincing.
Yeah, it was good.
So.
All right, so that was our weekend at Comic-Con.
The celebrity we saw. Maybe we saw RuPaul. So we can't say we didn't see any celebrities anymore.
That's right.
I think we should go back to the Kevin Smith one where he said we should love the things we have. So
yeah, so he
made us feel bad a little bit. It made me feel bad for.
Well, he went on for a little bit about
Luke Cage is better than made it sound. So
yeah,
anyway.
Just real quick, like the quick recap of it was Kevin Smith was talking about how you should love stuff that we have in the world, and if you don't like it, then put yourself in a position to go create it differently or better. And he said that's what he did, where he said, why don't people make movies about, dildos and stormtroopers or something like that? He's like, because that's what and me and my friends talk about, and so he's like,
I think
then,
you said Star Wars and pussy, but whatever. To
Yeah.
each his own, Justin. Whatever you want to make.
I couldn't
man.
remember, but
Stormtroopers and dildos. That's cool, man.
yeah.
I
So
respect you for your beliefs, and I support you.
so yeah. So he said he put himself in a position to go make movies like that, and so basically what he was saying was, if you didn't like Batman v Superman, and not being snarky, like just go be a director, and someday, 20 years from now, go make a better movie than that.
Yeah, because he literally did that. He's like, I'm not being snarky. You can do this, and like people can do it. And
Yeah, and I don't know, cool or otherwise, but we tweeted out about that, like, because Kevin Smith's kind of he has a podcast that Lucky and I both listen to, and that was kind of an inspiration to kind of just make our own podcast that's similar yet different than theirs, and so I told him, hey, we created a podcast, and Kevin Smith actually liked our tweet on Twitter. That was fun.
Yeah, I wish I could like his because I do like that he liked our tweet. So
I know.
it was very nice of him.
It's just a circle jerk of
Do that.
self-congratulatory awesomeness.
I love that. Every time you can say self-congratulatory, please say it. It's
I'm
just
going to.
my favorite term. I don't know why. It just sounds douchey. And
You know what sounds douchey?
also, like you're making fun of stuff at the same time. What?
Fi-Dye.
Oh, Fi-Dye is the douchiest thing I've ever heard. I'm gonna like purposely try to not remember it anymore after this. And you know what's funny? So we have a friend. He's always been about affectation, and I don't know if you have you ever read the what's that? So there's a book about how to get girls called the oh shoot, The Game. You ever heard of this book?
No.
Okay, you ever heard of the show Pickup Artist? The Pickup Artist? Season 1 and 2. There's
No.
only 2 seasons.
Also,
okay,
no.
well there's this book called The Game about picking up chicks. Every loser guy has it. I have a copy. I picked it up in the airport. Every loser guy has it. And it's just like, oh, how to nag a girl. Like, you tell them not a compliment, and it makes you more interesting when you're hitting on them and stuff. What was that sound? You still there?
I am.
Okay. Sorry. I just sound like a senile old man. So anyway, I showed him this book, and he just dove into it. Like every time we went out, because it's like one of the things is called peacocking. Wear a weird piece of clothing so you can talk about it. He would wear. We went to like Lake Havasu, and he wore like this cowboy hat and stuff, just like odd stuff. Like
Who is
that.
it?
Just one. Who's what?
Who's the friend that you're referencing? Do I know them?
You don't know who I'm talking about?
I mean,
I'm talking
I assume it's Derek. Yeah.
Derek. Oh, it's totally Derek. Can you see it now?
Totally.
Like he just like totally jumped into this stuff. So now he's going to school in New York City, and he works in the financial district. He's like, yeah, and Fi-Dye. We're like, what?
What is
like,
Fi-Dye?
Fi-Dye?
Financial
you guys
district.
are from around here. It's the financial district. You would know that if you were from here.
Like, don't talk
okay.
like that.
Yeah, but then later I asked my buddy Rich, it's like, have you ever heard it called Fi-Dye? He's like, the financial district? Yeah, he's like, only douchebags call it Fi-Dye. Like, good. I was like, thank you. That sounds right. Everything's right in the world. That's better.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that was our week in New York in New York Comic Con. So
fun.
Going back to do it next year, right?
Yeah, I'm in, man. I'm gonna try to. Let's go to both San Diego and New York again.
No doubt.
Because we know the Airbnb is good. If we get there soon enough, we can get cheaper plane tickets. And we're still going to try to get press passes. So
yeah, let's do
hopefully,
that too.
Hey, y'all out there, subscribe, rate us on iTunes, give us 5 stars, especially if you like it. And, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at TBFcast, CAST. And check out our website, tbfcast.com. So we can become more legitimate. We'll still be the same assholes, but in other people's eyes, we'll be more legitimate. And we'll get free press passes and cover more things that you want to hear about. So.
Bam. What a sales pitch. I love it. All right. Well, we're out of time for this week. For the Best Friends podcast, I'm Justin.
Lucky.
And we're signing off. We'll talk to you soon.
You.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Best Friends Podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard on today's show, check us out on the web at tbfcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at tbfcast and like us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/the Best Friends Podcast.